Women don't understand about their physiology, fundamentals of their physiology, because of the consumeristic system we have created around it, right? It won't make money to educate women about their physiology so that they can make some small lifestyle shifts. We interviewed thousands of women online and offline, and we found that 9 out of every 10 women are silently suffering. And the kind of stories which came back were, this is the first time someone's told me that it's not my mistake the way I'm feeling.
Welcome back to another episode of the Unsensible podcast, where we speak to founders in Asia who have made the unconventional, irrational, generally unsensible decision to start a startup. My name is Jess Ogilvie, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to Pri Aggarwal. Pri is the founder of Aura Fem Health, a FemTech startup focused on providing personalized solutions to women at all stages of their lives. Pri talks about how she decided to leave a stellar corporate career and go on a mission around female health and empowerment. She talks about the challenges that she's facing navigating the femtech industry, and she also shares very candidly about her perspective on being a mum, a parent, while also being a founder. Pri, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Absolutely. Really happy to be here, Jess. I love the name, Unsensible. You can totally call me that.
Oh, good. Yes. Well, we'll get into that. I have lots of questions. This is actually my first time recording the podcast, something I usually leave up to my dear colleagues. But today I'm actually going to follow the instructions. And the first step is to get you to pitch in 30 seconds. What is Aura Fem Health?
Sure. So Aura Fem Health is a personalized women holistic well-being platform. 9 out of every 10 women are silently suffering. And we are here to offer them personalized plans, access to practitioners, community support, and basically whatever they want from a non-synthetic approach in one place.
How did you come up with the idea? Where did it start? I think we always ask founders that, they set out to solve a problem. What was the problem that you wanted to solve?
Yeah, so this is a super personal journey. I'm someone who is highly sensitive of people around me and deeply feel if they are going through emotional or physical pain. And in my early years, I observed that my mom was like quietly suffering, be it fluctuations during the month, or be it her hot flashes during her 40s, but she never ever spoke about it. And then I had my whole host of issues, right, from a really tough PMS. Like, I feel a day before my period, I could literally kill my husband. He's the nicest guy in the world. And he was like, what's going on? I am very achievement oriented. That's how I'm wired. And so I was doing really well from a career perspective. Being the youngest to be promoted, etc. But what I didn't realize is the toll it was taking. So I hit a point where my periods were shrinking in length. My mood was so poor and hyper fluctuating. And I thought I'm the only one going through all this, right? Like, my skin wasn't my friend. But the reality is that when I started talking about it, every woman I spoke to said, that's me. I feel so tired. I feel like sometimes my period pain just kills me. But these women would then go to the doctor, and the doctor would basically either give them birth control pills, depending on where you're in your life stage, or a hormonal therapy even, or just ask them to shut up and say it's normal. And it kind of laddered up to a point where I created kind of a panel for myself. So I had a life coach who was a behavior scientist, because I was doing a postgraduate diploma in positive psychology. Yeah. I got a naturopath and a gynecologist. So these 3 women actually worked to fix me. And I realized, wow, like, I come from a place of privilege, but I had to really understand my physiology and psychology, and to know that they are deeply connected, and not make choices between, oh, this is mental or emotional or physical, but it's like 360 view. And I realized, yeah, this is the kind of access every woman deserves, because only then they can feel their best. So that's how it started. I started while I was in my last job, kind of just doing it as a side project, helping out friends, helping out other women. But then eventually what we started is we converted this into a form, like a super manual. But then we got so many people that it became really tough to handle. So we said, okay, we need an app. And that's kind of the process we are in, which is really listening to women and then building Aura. Because our single-minded mission is to make sure that we can make those small tweaks in your daily life so that you can feel better.
Wow, that's a pretty big mission. I like that a lot. And completely resonates. What?
Does it? Does it resonate here?
Yeah, I think, as in, I know when I've gone on to ask questions of whether it's forums or things like that, and especially becoming a parent, and you type in kind of, I don't know whether it's like at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., how reassuring it is to realize that you're not alone, and that in your head it's not just you and it's completely normal, and that there's actually reasons that you feel like that, and a massive part of that is very specific to being a woman. So you've got a stellar career in corporate. You start doing this on the side. When did you actually make the leap, and kind of what was the trigger point for you to say, I'm going to dive in full time?
I couldn't do anything else. So
wow.
I remember waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. before my normal work, so that those 3 hours before work and before my son used to get up, so that I can, I have to do the morning loving to him and preparing his
shift.
breakfast, etc. So I used to work those early morning hours. And then anytime I used to I was like, my Saturday and Sunday, anytime I started studying on the side, I did specializations. And I also conducted a really large research to actually say that this can't be, like, what I am seeing just can't be. And, we interviewed thousands of women online and offline, and we found that 9 out of every 10 women. And the kind of stories which came back were, this is the first time someone's told me that it's not my mistake the way I'm feeling. This is the first time I'm able to say that, oh, my body dysmorphia is not my doing. It's my hormones. And that's not the first thing I need to fix. I need to fix my mood. And the kind of response I started getting, I felt this is my calling, and I was so clear. And then somehow it's as if the universe was sending me signals from all directions. At work, I have been always a big proponent of women leadership and was mentoring a lot of women, but I saw what was happening. Like, I felt that they were coming into the washroom and these older women were talking about, oh, I'm sweating, I'm so hard, I couldn't sleep last night. And they had to walk out in their stilettos to lead as if there are no issues, 100%
just pretending
okay,
it's okay.
just pretending it's okay. Because we have fought for this, right? And I was like, no, we don't have to suffer through. And also, I think the other tipping point was when I started feeling like I'd never felt before. I was energetic. My periods started cycling together. My kid started saying, from initially his idea was I'm like the most angriest mom. And now he was inviting his friends back home saying, you have to meet the sweetest person. Because she's
Wait, so this was after you had spoken to your panel, basically?
Yeah, exactly. So I made a bunch of gradual, like, I am not about
Changes.
macros or hit training. I am all about balance and simple shifts.
Yeah.
And just some small shifts had such massive impact. I was like, why don't women understand their own physiology, right? Like, I know when my cortisol spikes, and now I know the breathing practice which will get it down, so that if I have a meeting coming up, how can I be calmer? This is so simple, but I've suffered from anxiety all my life. And no one just told me that, yeah, it's not your fault and it's not just in your head. You have the ability to take control. This is what, like, also made it super clear that I have always been a big proponent of making sure that there is knowledge for action. And women don't understand about their physiology, fundamentals of their physiology, because of the consumeristic system we have created around it, right? Like, it won't make money to educate women about their physiology so that they can make some small lifestyle shifts.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest change we can drive.
I think that's really, it kind of, when I think about it, it's when I first realized or asked the question, and I think a lot of it comes when you become more aware of it if you do have kids, because you are much more kind of monitored and you're closely monitoring kind of levels and cycles and things like that. And it's kind of dawned on me, why don't they teach this at school?
Yeah.
Why is this not like a fundamental part of learning, of, like, I don't know, health and physical education, all of that? Like, I probably could have benefited a little bit more of that.
I remember my biology class where they spoke about puberty. It was like a 10-minute, 20-minute single chapter, and it was so cringy. And it was grade 8, probably too late.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I didn't know about the fundamentals of my hormones, how to balance them, what is the impact they have on my life, to the extent that I was given birth control pills because I used to have this eczema. No, I was looking for a solution because of, we were, and then I was just prescribed birth control pills without anything, like without any knowledge of what it does to me long term, the side effects. And today at Aura, we have so many women coming off their birth control pills after 20 or 30 years, realizing they have such fundamental issues with their fertility or just with their hormonal system, which had been subdued because of. So it's about informed choice. Yeah. So coming back to it, I feel that there is a massive need of knowledge, accessibility of solutions, and affordable care, which is not siloed like the modern specialities are, but very integrated.
Yeah, I think that is so important, right? Just to have the integration, that you're not having to, it's not on you to go in and find all of these specialists. If you think of like in 10 to 15 years time and you've hit it out of the park, and Aura Fem Health is like as much as you wanted it to do and achieved everything, what does it look like for you?
It's a mission where I want to dedicate my life to it, because I feel that there is so much work to be done. We are coming out of 2,000 years of systemic negligence towards women's health. So not only Aura, but there are a lot of fellow women founders who are doing great work. So I imagine us having this really integrated, where women start really early and understand about their physiology. Second is there is a sense of agency that, if I'm feeling this way, I'm not resigned to it, or I am not a victim. I actually can take control of my life and make those shifts. And in terms of us, the role of Aura, it's exactly that, to enable these women with knowledge, to enable these women with solutions, and also access to practitioners who will listen to them. And I'm very careful because I can get very KPI or outcome oriented because, again, of my corporate background and achievement mindset. But I realize that this is a different game. This is not about valuation or IPOs or any of that. It's about maximizing our reach. And, in terms of market penetration, something like a 2 to 5% will be massive. So what I'm envisioning is a platform where any woman can find the support she's looking for, and integrate that in her daily flow.
Such a worthy cause. Makes me want to go and do something really meaningful. But in the meantime, I will just try and spread the message more from all the good stuff that you're doing. Your background is, marketing, innovation. You've worked with some of the biggest brands and names, management consultant. You've had this big corporate background. What has helped you from your corporate background?
I think the first one is that it is figure outable, in the sense that what we are dealing with is a really challenging problem. It's kind of a category creation if you think about it, right? No one has really looked at, only now fellow startups are looking at women's health in the way we are looking at it. So at times,
which is crazy when you think about like women are like half the population. It's like, how has it taken this long to kind of create that category? Good. I'm glad we're finally doing that.
Even if you look at like period poverty, right? Like half of the world's population still doesn't have access to sanitary pads, and
it is mind-blowing.
So I feel that through my corporate career, be it in sales, strategy, or marketing, or innovation, I felt that I always was dealing with the toughest problem. And I was given the toughest problem to handle, to set up a new team, to set up a new division, and initially, like, the thrill, the energy is from the thrill, right? Of how to figure it out, the newness. But slowly the complexity of it dawns on you. But ultimately, if you break it into its parts and, slowly progress, and you have to kind of at times be a challenger and say that, just because things are done in a certain way doesn't mean that they have to be continued to be done in that way. And being able to do that in a corporate environment, and trust me, which is really, really difficult, because
I was about to say that sounds hard.
And it really thickened my skin. So if anyone said that, this can't be done, like, that's a great trigger for me, saying, okay, this is a really complex and challenged problem. a challenging problem. Let's figure it out what can be done. Maybe we can't solve it all the way, but can we make progress? For sure. But if we give up even without trying, how does progress happen otherwise? So I think that it really helped me. I feel the second thing what really helped me was it's just the diversity of the experience. So, I got a chance to work in India, in the US, almost multiple countries in Asia Pacific, in Europe. And what surprised me most is the homogeneity. Like women everywhere are fundamentally the same. Like I feel there is this aspect of sisterhood where we are fighting, we are turning up for work, we are taking care of family, but we are also suffering everywhere. So I feel that indirectly looking back, I feel my corporate career really set me up. But also just from a technical skill point of view, it's helpful to know how to run your marketing funnel. You don't have to spend time
Yeah. You've got those
figuring
basics.
Yeah, you know your distribution channels, you know how to think about go to market, the typical corporate stuff, sales, marketing, strategy, how to think about your brand building efforts, the tone of voice, how to get to the right insight, how to articulate an insight. Now, these things are not top of mind for me because they almost are, I've been trained to do them. Like,
Yeah.
the rigor is there. So that really helps to have like just the commercial rigor, even in an early stage startup, so that you're highly capital efficient. Because one thing which I don't want to do is get to a P&L for a VC or get to a P&L which is not sustainable. I'm building this as a really long-term surviving entity versus just to get investment quickly. So I think just the fundamentals of financial prowess, getting your commercials right. I don't think of them very often, but I can imagine that that also is very important for any startup founder, either themselves or through hired hands.
As actually, well, you tell me if you think this is the case, but like having that grounding in the commercials is a benefit over other founders that wouldn't have that necessarily that commercial or marketing specific background necessarily. That is new to them. And I know, when we speak to founders, that marketing hire in those first early days, it's a challenging one because you don't have, if it's not your background as the founder, having to look at the team it's a really big role, a critical role, even at the early stage. Have you found that have you found that in your conversations with other founders where they don't necessarily have that?
Absolutely. I feel any hire in an early stage is a challenging one. Like, I feel that
just hiring in general is hard.
Yeah, I feel that being a people leader in a corporate role is probably a tad bit easier than in a startup. So anyone who knows me and works with me directly knows that I'm kind of a really nice person. I'm highly empathetic. I will struggle to have, hard conversations, but those hard conversations have had to be had. And in those hard conversations, I'll probably listen more than speak. But it's really difficult because you really care about this really small team you have. And I've made an effort to stay really lean. But you also are so driven about the mission. You are their employer, not their manager. Like, it's just so difficult. I think this aspect is underestimated. Like, I underestimated how much time I'll end up spending thinking and caring for the people who are working with Aura, but how intricately they'll shape my thinking and hence, what the startup means. So yeah, I feel that all this training I've had through hiring over years has been like super helpful, of all those MIT models to use. But specifically on marketing, I feel that I challenge if anyone needs to hire a marketing person if they are in early stage, or can they partner with someone who knows what they are doing? Because you probably don't need a full-time marketing person. You need content developers, you need continuous content, but you also need to decide what your marketing person is doing. Are they running the entire funnel, which is fantastic, but really tough to find? Are they doing only social media, or are they only doing content, or are they optimizing your conversion? So what is your marketing strategy depending on the stage you are in? Whom are you working with? What's the ROI of that? And hence what type of resources you want. Yeah, but typically at this stage, everyone's double hatting, triple hatting in an organization in the first 1 to 3 years. And I would highly recommend looking at fractional resources or partnering with companies who know how to do it or support early stage companies.
Yes, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That's something that, like, I know when we've spoken to founders, the hiring, like the HR bit, the hiring of the people is just the most underappreciated kind of part of it, because it's people, and it's not only hiring, but then inspiring, leading, keeping them on the page when everyone is wearing 3 hats at minimum. It's tough.
Yeah.
You imagine it's going to be smaller. We have a small team, but and you think, no, you know, you're not going to have to think about that until you get to bigger stages and 10, 20, 50 people. But actually, it starts right at the beginning, from the get-go, keeping everyone aligned.
Yeah, they're the foundation of your culture, right?
Completely.
Like,
and have such a big impact on, like, they're shaping it as much as you, as in you're leading as the founder, and it's very founder-led. But like you said, they also are helping to shape as those early employees. That's what helped from your corporate background. What about what you found, you know, challenging? And there are hurdles in setting up an early stage, you know, more so in FemTech, which is growing massively, but is still early in terms of the category. What have you found that's been challenging, and what would you say is the biggest learning that you've had to have?
Yeah, there's so much, actually, right? I have now developed a kind of a rhythm on hiring and what works for me, in the sense that really looking at someone's passion towards the mission is so important. Like, you can't, at this stage, you're not just hiring an individual for their skills, you're also hiring them if they are invested in the mission. And second is, there should be some sort of a proof. Not necessarily they should have done the job that you're giving them before, but there should be a proof that they have the tenacity to go through the tough times, because, oh boy, it is a roller coaster.
Tenacity is a good word. I like that. I might start using that. Tenacity. You need that in bucket loads.
I feel the second thing, which is super important for me, it has been, and I underestimated this, I actually have continued with the panel. So the person who was life coaching me or giving me
the people that you in the beginning that you had,
they are now part of Aura.
Fantastic! Wow, that's really like J. team.
Yeah. So this behavior scientist who was, who said, "All right, Pri, looks like you need help. I'm happy to chat with you." She's like played a foundational role for me, because I know that every week there is a milestone, and I can't help it. I am very achievement oriented, that I'm going to hit or miss.
Yeah.
And if not, there are more misses than there are hits. And I feel like I used to feel like down in the dumps with every of those milestones. And what Evie has been able to do is, like, almost life coach me through these, which is focus on the journey and not the outcome. And it's about the progress, the small steps that you're making, and looking at that instead of just chasing, because otherwise you take the joy out of the process. So that has been the biggest transition for me, which is not burning myself out, channeling the energy not from anxiety, but channeling my energy from really a good place of balance and nourishment for Aura as well. And continuing to seek help through this, either via life coaching or making sure that I am in fully operating and balance mode, because I can't help other women if I am broken. We've converted that into a life coaching module, which is now available for free via the app, because we found it so helpful. So that would be my second thing, is that, any startup founder is probably really ambitious, really driven, but just channeling that energy is going to burn you out. You need to find your balance and make this a marathon, a multi-year journey, which is sustainable. Because if you are calm, your team is calm. If you're freaking out at everything, you're running a ship where people don't want to be with you for too long. Then the third bit has been, you said specifically around FemTech. I feel that because of the setup we are in, so I've had conversations with multiple VCs where they think that, that's interesting, I've never heard that before. My wife is a machine. She wakes up at 5, takes care of the kids, does the office, cooks 3 meals, and she never complains. Oh, she has some low mood at times, but I don't think that's an issue. Because a lot of the money is with the VCs, and these VCs are led by these stereotypical male men. And my only response there is actually to shift the conversation to encourage that person to have a good conversation with his wife. That
Gosh,
she
you
probably
that's
needs support that she is not asking for and think she's dealing with that he's not aware of. Because, oh
yeah.
boy, definitely she is. So that has been a bit of a challenge. But on the other side, I've also found highly supportive men who have, there is
Okay.
a
There is
guy in
light.
the US who's like, my fractional CTO who
Yeah.
says, yeah, I am, this is the stuff you need to do, etc. Doesn't want shares, doesn't want money, does it because he sees his wife needs it. So
It's
my
kind of
husband,
the enlightened
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, like who made sure that I do it because he
Yeah.
saw his mom suffering. He made sure, like he said, that I know that we will regret not being able to help more people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run the house study. And just because I went from being, in the top 0.1% salaried to not drawing a salary, this doesn't mean I'm doing majority of my housework. We had a conversation which Sid initiated, and he said, you don't start thinking just because you're primarily working from home, you suddenly become responsible for laundry and meal planning alone. We are going to continue it this way. So having
That's
this
so good.
conversation with your most nearest and dearest ones, and also reframing any challenges if you're in the femtech industry that you face from your investors or from people who just don't appreciate what you're doing, um, as convert that into more energy, convert that into, hey, okay, this is another opportunity to educate men. So because it is a tough ride, there is, there, it's highly gratifying because it is challenging. It's a little bit like motherhood,
Yeah.
uh,
Which
that
is
all those nights are so challenging, but it's highly gratifying. So yeah, that's a little bit of, well,
But I
yeah, I
really
think
like
I
that
went.
idea of kind of channeling it because I'm thinking if I was in that room with the person saying, "Oh no, my wife's a superstar. She doesn't need any of this," I kind of channel that into anger and walk out. But I see that you have moved up the emotional maturity range there and redirected it into something that like an opportunity to educate, which is so admirable. And yes, this kind of balance is just making me think of motherhood. And I ask selfishly as a mum of a little human being. I look on LinkedIn thinking, how can I, can you actually be a founder and a mum? When I look on LinkedIn and I doom scroll there, it feels like it's a no because I guess maybe I'm not following the right amount of mums out there, or they're not there. I'm not sure. What's your perspective on that, and how like can you be both?
Yeah, this is really interesting, and I feel that part of it comes from the stereotypical founder image from California, working in the garage, sleeping in the office, like that's what they used to speak about, Bill Gates, and I highly challenge that stereotypical founder image. You do it your way. You don't have to, like, it comes again back to what I was saying is that achievement doesn't have to come in a specific pattern. Your startup journey, your organization journey, your life journey is your alone. And fundamentally, we as women are very different than men. We are not burning our testosterone always. We have both the yin and yang energy. We have the energy of yin, which is the nurturing, balance, intuitive cell, and we have our yang, which is our cortisol going, and we need to balance those because when we channel too much yang, we are depleting our nurturing and we won't be happy. We would be in low mood. We would burn out. Once you break that stereotype and say, no, I don't need to fit into that. I'm going to design a life that I want to live. And that's the reason why I'm literally doing something which is so close to my heart, it totally changes. And if we continue to have Y Combinator saying, you won't have time for your family for the next 6 months or something, that's what Y Combinator usually says in there.
That's the message.
Yeah, I think I highly challenge that message because we are not making it attractive to so many women who can add so much value. And I would not encourage women to trade off their health for short term even because it will have long term consequences to chase an arbitrary goal. Create a sustainable cycle. And yeah, today the environment is run by highly consumeristic, highly capitalistic money, which wants very quick returns. You can even challenge that and source more patient capital or source capital which aligns with your mission. Yeah, probably it'll take longer, probably it'll be tougher, but you know what? You will do it on your own terms. Now, I'm not saying any of this, challenging the status quo and doing it your way, is easy, but I don't think women like it easy. None of the fights we have fought has been easy. The second thing for me is that I feel that when a woman starts a company, and there is data that women leaders have 64% more satisfaction among their direct reports versus male managers on things like empathy, concern, engagement. I haven't seen an equivalent study for startup founders, but I bet that female startup founders will have a higher long-term success rate and better returns for long-term VC versus just raising and going after the second and the third round, which is what we see a lot. Yeah. So you want something which is built, has a strong foundation and built sustainably. But coming back to the motherhood question, I feel that for me, it is so simple. Like my son went through a health crisis, I think sometime last year. And that made it so crystal clear to me is that, who am I kidding? This guy is my first priority, no matter what. Yeah. But this doesn't mean that I'm enslaved. I think it's also freeing up. And I made a choice that I will shift to a startup life only once he's 5, because now he's able to contribute to what I'm doing. He has his point of view saying, oh, mama, every time she does this habit, she should at least get 100 points. And it should have like balloons coming out. Yeah, so
that's that.
So you channel your energy, and your family will also feel it, but have that conversation with whoever you can seek support from. Create a network of support and demand help, request for help, beg for help, anything which gives you space, even to take a nice bath or a massage, because that's how we are caring for ourselves while building something awesome.
Yeah, I think all founders, that's not a message just for female founders. I think all founders. I had a conversation with a founder the other day his daughter was sick that week and they had to change the meeting time, and I completely understood. I sensed that he felt rushed and eager to kind of dismiss it and put it to the side and move on with the agenda. And I felt like I wanted to kind of say, it's okay, we're all humans here, and you can talk about your daughter, but it felt like there was his expectation maybe that we wouldn't understand, or that it wasn't something that to be talked about. And it made me feel a bit sad just at that point. And I thought, we should all be trying to just be a bit more human. I always think back to that one in the interview with do you remember during COVID, and they had the little girl walked in on her dad doing the video call? Yeah. And I just think of that, and it's so endearing, and it's so real, and it just helps break down that wall, and it's just perspective giving, because at the end of the day, we're all, the background behind the camera is the same for so many of us. And the more that we can kind of,
whom are we kidding, right? Why put a mask saying, ooh, I am hyper productive and I'm this? No, all of us have our struggles. We feel anxious multiple times a day. Yeah. If our child gets sick, that's the only thing we'll be worried about, while the need for ambition is still strong. And it's all right.
Yeah, two things can be true. You can still be ambitious and have maybe pull a long day, but then the next day you're there and you're helping them out. Yeah.
And no one's judging you because they are going through their own shit. So
exactly.
I think somewhere we landed on this idea that you need to be picture perfect. But I love the pictures which are full. And I want to live a full life, and also with the people I work, not show that I'm not going for perfection. I'm going for 70%, and seeking help for the rest 30%. Let's see how far I get. But at least I won't regret any of it, because I would have felt that, I'm not in poor health because I took care of myself and I'm giving the best possible to my family and my business.
I think that's a very wise and long-term and sustainable way of doing things. I respect that. I have some questions just to finish off with. If we think about maybe a future founder, female founder, male founder, or otherwise, some quick questions to as a tip, and also I just personally want to know the answers. What is one thing that you wish someone told you before you started this journey?
It's the time things will take. And they always take longer than I plan. be it figuring out the tech, be it figuring out, and you feel it when you start getting traction. You feel it. It's very tough to describe, but you feel it in the words you hear back from the women. But it may take time. It may take multiple iterations. So had someone told me that it's not like in the corporate world, you put a milestone and then you have a project plan and two,
Yeah.
and you
It just goes.
yeah,
You meet that.
that's just your input. It doesn't determine the output until the time you're not getting to the point where you're actually serving the people you want to serve. You will iterate because that's your goal, right? To make these people happy and feel better. So at the moment you are too obsessed about your timelines and too obsessed about your milestones, you may make trade-offs to this end goal, which will bite you really hard. So I wasn't ready for even though 4 months doesn't seem a lot, but I wasn't ready that the app takes 4 months. I was like, get it out. But
Yeah.
no, it will take multiple
takes
iterations,
that.
dozens of it. So that's what I want to say. Don't do it in a rush. You're building something for long term. Get your foundation right and have the patience for it.
Okay, what about one thing that you either that you've read recently or listened to recently that is helping you at the moment, or has helped you kind of that you've thought of as you've gone through those challenging times?
This is a really good one. Yeah, because I'm
anything.
always reading. So I'll make a couple of suggestions here. I feel the first one I want to make for women founders is the book Flow. I think it's by this lady, Elizabeth. She talks about cycle syncing, that how we have different energy levels, different type of, so our brain actually changes in 4 phases of our cycle every month. So different parts of our brain are fired up, which means that at certain parts of the month, we are more analytic, more intuitive. Just we are wired that way. And that's beautiful because we are not the same, like wake up, go for a 9 to 5 job and come back. No. So once you sync with that beautiful rhythm, like now I know that when I need to do my creative work, like which of my phases is magic for me. And I know that during my luteal phase and during my menstrual phase, it's great to get stuff done. Chop, 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 chop. I'm highly productive. And this is just helpful for me to not blame myself of running a 9 to 5, drill or 9 to 9 drill. When I'm not wired that way, I'm a more complex human being. So that would be my first suggestion. The second is mastery. So this is freedom from other people's opinion. This is a great, great book. This changed my life. Yeah. So this is about how no one is spending time thinking about you. And the more you worry about other people's opinion, you're reducing your degree of control and basically making yourself feel not so good. And that is a really good reminder for me continuously.
Yeah. That sounds like it's kind of seminal reading for everyone.
Yeah. And the third is, again, it's not a plug, but it's fundamentals. I would highly recommend to do even if you don't want a personalized plan, even if you're a guy, I would highly recommend doing the Life by Design coaching that Dr. Avi Reset, our behavioral scientist, has. It just got fundamentals. Like it will align the life you want to live to your day to day, and you will feel happier each day. So I highly recommend doing that. There's so much more. Like there is this great book about Robert Bergman, who is a Dutch author, has written about mission. I can't remember the name, but it's about don't waste your life, dedicated to something which is going to make your presence feel valuable. So when you're existing, there is a minimum value differential of your existence. The difference you've made will be felt. But there's so much more. So I highly recommend any founder to just keep a book by your bedside to keep on provoking you, but also keep on being that friend that you need, and journaling every night before you sleep. It's so important.
I need to get back to that. That's really important. Thank you for the time. I can't wait to see where Aura goes, and I'm going to be following along with my app.
We'll see. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all your support.